Hey, it's Pink Buddha, and that right there is the topic of today's Force Friday, which is about how to create a live looping one-take performance on the Force. Oh, and I'm also utilizing my new Squid Game sample pack that I just put out last Sunday. If you missed that, you can click up here to get caught up. And if you're watching this before the end of October, it's not too late to still enter the remix contest where there's a $50 cash prize. A link to the samples and instructions for the contest are in the description below. So let's get into how you can make something like that. And when I create a live looping one-take piece, I have a very specific strategy. And there are 5 key elements to that we're going to go over in this video. And so maybe let's just start from the beginning and I'll break down each step of how I put this together. And so I start this by recording a clip using the Pink Soldier theme chopped onto these pads. And now you may not have noticed it because it happened so quickly, but I hit this little red button down here to stop recording the clip and immediately started looping. And I made this first loop only 2 bars so that I can immediately move on to recording another part. And making really short loops is one of the key strategies I was going to share with you, because one of the things about live looping is that it can take so long to build up all your parts because you're playing them each individually. And not only does that require a lot of patience from the listener, we also like to hear things in 8-bar phrases. So by creating a 2-bar loop, it gives me 2 more measures to transition. Then I can create another 2-bar loop, and now I'm already up and running, but I'm only 8 bars in. Okay, so with that in mind, let's watch this again. There's that hit to stop the loop. And then I start recording the hi-hat loop. And I'm hitting that button down here again to stop the loop. Then quickly copying this row down to the next one. Oh, and maybe I should mention that on the Force, you can split the view for these pads, where this top section allows you to see and trigger clips, and this bottom section is where you play individual notes on individual tracks. And for me, using this split view is really the key to pulling off this live looping one-take strategy. Without that split view, it would just be so much harder to do. So jumping back in, I'm finishing the initial idea, and only 8 measures have passed. And now I'm throwing down some big drums. Now right here, I want to point out that I did not hit this button down here to stop this clip because I have fixed length recording turned on. And that's another key piece of strategy that I use for making live looping tracks, because sometimes you don't have a free hand to stop the clip from recording. And also now I have 2 different loop lengths that I can use. So now while this is looping, I have 4 bars to get the next part ready. You're going to see me enable this bass track, copying my initial parts down to this new scene, and then start recording this bass. Here's another example where I'm using my thumb to stop this clip at only 2 measures. Let's pause here for a second to talk about effects, because that's the next key piece of my strategy. You may have noticed I'm using this knob here to control the filter on this bass sound. And I also have the XY pad set up for the master track. And I'm going to use these effects to help keep these loops from becoming too stagnant, as well as helping me transition from one section to another. More on that later. Okay, so what's going to happen next here is I planned a dropout moment, which is another of these key strategies. Because up to this point, I've just been adding and adding and adding. So now it's time to pull it back. And here's how I did that. I already set up this row here not to have those big drums. So I'm going to click on that row, mess around with some effects. But I'm taking a break from adding anything new here so I can build up the anticipation for dropping this peak moment. And having a climactic moment in your track is so important. First of all, I'm going to set everything up so I'm ready to record this new part when the moment comes. Again, I'm going to use some effects in this section to keep it interesting so it doesn't get boring. And a last flurry up to the introduction of these strings. And I used fixed length recording here, so I could play all the way to the end of those 4 bars before it started looping. Now to wrap things up, I'm going to record one more part, and that's a variation on my big drums. And I'm going to record that into this B section. Now, I might make this look simple and easy because that's how I like to teach, but honestly, even after I figured everything out, it took me so many tries to play this correctly in one take. Lots of frustrating moments. Anyways, that's a wrap. Be sure you subscribe if you want to follow along to my channel, and I'll catch you on the next one.